You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
It is day 2 of my Not So Scary Small Groups video training series. This is my 4-part video series where I'll be sharing with you how you can use small groups to engage your students and effectively track your program progress. The best part is it's absolutely free, and for attending, you get a free small group curriculum. This is amazing, guys. And I'm giving out PD certificates of attendance as well. Like I said, this is day 2. Video 1 dropped yesterday. Video 2 dropped this morning, but it's not too late to sign up. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/training to get started today. See you there. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So this is the 4th and final episode of our October series where we've been talking about bullying prevention adjacent topics as a means to be a predecessor to bullying prevention. So we've been talking about things like kindness, friendship, conflict resolution, and today I want to talk to you about self-advocacy. So October is Bullying Prevention Month, so I think these topics are so important to cover. But these are things you can be teaching all year long to prevent bullying. So this week I want to talk about self-advocacy. This is a skill that all of our kiddos need that we don't really teach that much. So we want kids to be able to stand up for themselves, right? Because unfortunately things are going to happen at school and in life where they may be the target or recipient of bullying. So this one is more close to a traditional bullying prevention lesson, I guess, because we're kind of responding to bullying, whereas the other ones were more like preventative before we even get to the bullying piece. But this one is a skill that I think is so important, so I did want to include it in this series. So there's 3 ways that we can help our students self-advocate. So I want to talk about those. First up is practice scripts. So some things just don't come naturally to the majority of our kiddos, and one of those things may be advocating for themselves. Just like public speaking or any other skill that you need to learn and just practice and you get better with over time, advocating for yourself may be that skill for your kiddos. So by providing them with sample scripts of what they can say in different situations, that's a really good way to teach the skill of self-advocacy. So you could do this in a class lesson. So you could, watch a video of something of someone advocating for themselves, and then you could provide a few sample scripts. Then you could break the class up into groups where they could practice their sample scripts. That's a really good idea. This is something you could do with small groups too. So if you have a bullying prevention small group or a conflict resolution small group, you could do the same thing. You could have them practice these self-advocacy scripts. So at the group level, you could spend a little more time on it than you would at the class lesson level. So you could do a whole session just on, let's practice these scripts, let's act them out, let's do role play, let's give each other feedback. And the role play is cool because as they're speaking up for themselves or standing up for themselves, maybe the bully character is, interjecting. So you can really practice these in like a high tense situation. So that way, if it actually does happen in real life, they feel prepared and equipped to respond accordingly. And at the individual level, you can use the practice scripts as well. So like I was talking about last week with the friendship individual sessions, some of our students need things to be very explicitly taught and really clear in order to comprehend them. And they might need it at the individual level. So if you have a student who has, become a target of bullying a lot, yes, obviously we want that prevention piece. We want to be meeting with the bully and trying to correct their behaviors and supporting them so they, don't act in bullying behavior. But then we also want to equip that individual with the tools they need to stand up for themselves. So you could really practice these scripts and make sure that they get really comfortable using them. And you may be thinking like, whoa, we're just telling them to stand up, we're not going to do anything about it. No, that's definitely not the case. We definitely want to encourage our students to report bullying. And these are all things I do in a typical bullying prevention lesson, a more traditional one, which I'll link to in the show notes. I have one where we would talk about the difference between tattling versus reporting and the need to report and how to report bullying. And you would make sure that system is established at your school. But at the same time, you want to equip them with this reactive strategy as well. So that's what I was saying. This episode feels kind of weird because I'm usually like all about proactive preventative methods, and this does seem a little reactive that they have to stick up for themselves. But it is an important skill to learn, right? And hopefully they don't have to use it because it's prevented, but realistically they may have to. So it's nice for them to practice this self-advocacy skill. And it will serve them well later in life when they're in any situation where they want to be able to confidently say, no, I don't want that, or no, please stop that. So not just bullying, but it could be any kind of conflict that they're having or any kind of behavior that's happening or unwanted behavior. They can definitely learn to stick up for themselves. So that's the first tip I have for you guys, is to practice those scripts in each tier. Second up is self-esteem affirmations. So we want our kids to feel confident to advocate for themselves. So, it's kind of like the public speaking example I gave. It's a skill that needs to be learned. And the more confidence you have, the more better that you can be at the skill. So I think self-esteem positive affirmations are really powerful. So this is just and you don't have to tell the kids like, we're going to learn self-esteem affirmations so you can feel confident to advocate for yourself. You don't even have to make it about advocating for themselves. You can just teach the self-esteem affirmations, and as a result of that, you know that as they have increased self-esteem, then their confidence will increase, and then it'll help when they're going to self-advocate. It's kind of like all the things I've been talking about this month. When you're teaching the friendship skills, you don't have to be like, we're going to learn these friendship skills to prevent bullying. Like, you in your head know that, but they just think you're focusing on friendship skills. But it's all part of this greater big picture, right? So positive affirmations, things like I am strong, I am confident, I can do this. You can have them write them on sticky notes and stick them around their house, or write them on their mirror, write them in their notebook. There's a lot of options for how you could do these self-esteem affirmations. I like to kind of do like cut out cards and have the kids build their own, so they get some suggested words that they could use, and they can make their own as well. Those are all really good ideas. And the third thing I have for you for self-advocacy is advocating for others too. So we want to teach them how to be upstanders versus being bystanders. So this one would be more part of a like traditional bullying prevention lesson, where we're talking about the different characters when it comes to bullying scenarios and how they're often bystanders, and those are people who are watching the bullying happen and not doing anything. But an upstander is someone who stands up to bullying, and they intervene and they advocate for others. So there's a really cool video. It's called The Ned Show, and they do a cool upstander video. I'll link to that in the show notes. But I think, again, this is a skill that is great for bullying prevention, but just a life skill as well. It's advocating for others and sticking up for others. This is something we want our students to feel prepared to do, right? If they notice the injustice going on, if they want to speak up for others and they feel the need to, we want them to feel prepared on how they can do that. So we can help them advocate for others too by practicing things like being upstanders versus bystanders. So like I said, this is kind of a quick episode. I just didn't want to, it felt weird to leave the series out without touching on the self-advocacy piece as well. So I hope you found that helpful. Remember, guys, we are right in the middle of my free video training series where I'm talking about not so scary small groups. So it's Halloween time and we're focusing on all the spooky fun things, but these small groups do not have to be scary. So like I said, we're in the middle of it. You may be thinking, then why are you telling me about it? But that's because it's not too late to get started. Video 1 dropped yesterday, video 2 dropped this morning, but we still have videos 3 and 4, and you can go back and catch the ones you missed. Definitely not too late to sign up. stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/training. Go ahead, sign up. Not only is the video series itself free, but you'll also get a free small group and PD certificate for attending. So I hope that you can make it, and I hope you found this series helpful. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.